Hey, what's happening, everybody? It is Wednesday, the 17th of September, 2014, and you're watching or listening to the Seacoast Beverage Lab podcast, episode number 91. We are 9 steps away from calling this quits at 100. So hope you guys like the show. We'll see you never. No, thanks for watching. Yes, episode number 91, and don't adjust your dials in a second because we're going to have a repeat brewery, not a repeat guest, but back from January 14th, 2013, we had this brewery on, and that's episode number 20 for those mega fans. So we're going to get to the guests in a second, but I'm drinking, not from the bottle, but I have a bottle of Stoneface IPA from Stoneface Brewery in Newington, New Hampshire, and check out the old Stoneface right there. Coming in real good.
Good touch.
Salute it. This is all right, and it's really good. Big fan. I got the APA downstairs, too. I might have to switch hit with it. But yeah, Carla, what's happening?
Hey, Carly here, known online as Beer Babe. I am drinking some Dogfish Head tonight. I've got the pumpkin ale going on. I couldn't resist. It turned fall enough, but I'm drinking pumpkin things now. So.
There she is. Wait, could you show the bottle?
Okay, yeah. So the bottles are really scary. I don't like the label. I know they're awesome. They used to do the art for the bands, the Melvins and stuff. It's like punk rock and whatnot, but it looks like a frightening teddy bear eating a gourd. It's scary.
Bears like pumpkins.
Yeah. Big pumpkin fans. Oh my God! I feel like I'm singing the Great Pumpkin. Shows up once in a blue moon, just like me. Momo, we reunite over podcast. Bring it in. I return.
There you go.
Get in here, you old so-and-so. What's happening?
Not too much. Good to be back. Mike Meredith here, at Mo Meredith on Twitter. And I got myself a fresh Notch Pills chilling in the fridge right now that I'm going to go grab in about 2 to 3 minutes. So, but happy to be back. So
has his roommate over there, like over ice, just in the bottle, you know, the old roof test trick. And don't freak out, but I might see a Yeti, or is that Norm Miller, Real Beer Man?
Hey, what's up? Norman Miller, Metro West Daily News, Beer Nut, Real Beer Nut on Twitter, and I'm drinking a Howler Brewing Company Hook Nose IPA tonight.
Bring in that bottle for a second. Look at that. Whew. Now, where are they out of?
Somewhere.
Cool. Somewhere.
Hatfield, Mass.
Hatfield.
Yeah.
Next to Pantsville.
I don't know much about them. They don't have a website. They don't really have a Facebook page.
They don't really have a town. It's a very, very small town in Massachusetts.
Yeah, and they have like 6 different beers at Julio's Liquor, so I picked up a couple last night.
I got to talk to Rick Brews if he's watching on Twitter, or I'll just call him up to my father, but ask him to do some research on that.
No, he's at some bar that has bagpipers, according to Facebook.
What?
He posted a photo of bagpipers a little while ago on Facebook.
How do you know? Okay, we'll get to family relations in a little bit. But Sean, what's happening, my man?
Hello, I'm Sean Jansen from TwoBeerGuys.com, and I'm currently drinking a Slumbrew Island Day.
So someone did their homework, of course. What kind of beer is it? How do you like it?
It is an ale with Calypso, Ella, and Pacific Jade hops. Pretty good, a little hoppy. Got a nice fruity, citrus, bitter taste.
Nice. And I'd like to ask who's holding up the curtain behind you, but we don't know. But for those that watch the Magic School Bus, Sean's currently in the kidney of somebody. Well played. Well set up, Sean. Thank you for joining us from inside somebody. Sean did his homework, and I apologize for the long opening, but this is the first time we've had all 5 of us in a couple months, I think. So this is fantastic. But we roll the red carpet out that's on Sean's wall to the floor to allow Caitlin Jewell of Slumbrew to come in. How's it going, Caitlin? Thanks for coming.
Things are great. We're really excited. Can you guys hear me okay?
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
What are you drinking?
I am drinking Slumbrew Attic and Eves, our toasted brown.
Nice.
Yummy.
Absolutely one of my favorites of our portfolio, and one of the very few beers in our office right now.
I wish I had that last night. I ate my very first peanut butter and fluff sandwich, if you can believe that, and that sounds like that would go perfectly with that.
Man.
We're planning on having the world-famous Fluffernutter at both of our locations, Carla.
Oh, cool.
Oh, man. So let's...
Right away.
I think we should get into this because the last time we spoke to Slumbrew was with Jeff, like I said, on January 14th, 2013. And I bet you in that amount of time, a lot of stuff has been going on, and we'd love to have you on just to give us an update about what's going on. I believe you have a couple announcements as well.
Oh, we have 2 locations coming online.
Wow.
It's been crazy. Right now, we're probably most focused on what's happening with 15 Ward Street in Somerville. That is our new brewery and taproom, and it is Somerville Brewing Company. And when you arrive, you'll see all the signage that says American Fresh Brewery and Taproom, Boynton Yards. So if you know the Union Square or Davis Square areas of Somerville, one of our least known areas in Somerville that is just ripe for economic development is the Boynton Yards area. So that's where we are opening up. And right now our hope is that we will be open for Thanksgiving, but possibly before Christmas. It's somewhere in there. We are tearing it up every single day with construction, and tomorrow ends the 4th day of our entire mezzanine going in. And next week, our brew house, which has been done and waiting to go in, our brew house and our fermenters from Taproom in Maine will be coming.
Oh, of course, man. That name's getting big every time now, and all the pros are using them. That's great.
They're great guys. They're good fabricators, and we've been working with Michael and his team, kind of putting this together. And it's God, it's been I was thinking about you guys this morning and just thinking about the number of years, and it's been 15 years since you start dreaming of doing it yourself. And I think Jeff and I started getting into craft beer right when I got out of college 18 years ago. I told some of our friends today that when I start painting in about 3 weeks, that it's probably likely I'm going to cry for the first 3 minutes. I'm painting my own brewery.
Well, let's take a quick step back, and I mean I don't want to repeat episode 20, although it was a fantastic one. So for those that are listening and watching, go friggin' watch it again. But
It was a gem.
for those that are kind of still like, I mean, we get a lot of young viewers because Norm brings a lot of people in to watch the show. Those that are still not familiar with Slumbrew, where is your location now, and how does that work out for you?
Our headquarters is Somerville, Massachusetts, and we've been incorporated as Somerville Brewing Company for a long time. In October, the end of October, will be the 4 years since we sold our first bottle at Craft Beer Cellar in Belmont.
Wow.
And we have been contract brewing, all the different arguments about what you want to call it, at Mercury in Ipswich, Massachusetts. And we've actually been with them since before the original brewery and now the new brewery. And we create all of our packaged product up there. What happens when we move into Ward Street is, first off, we can get more volume, but we can also do kind of crazier, funky things, including barrel aging for the, not for the first time, but really with a serious focus to it. And we'll be doing a lot of our esoteric draft options out of that space.
Nice.
Could we, about the tap room? Unlike most tap rooms, you plan on serving food. Can you describe, I remember you had some interesting ideas of what kind of food you guys could be serving there.
Primary focus is going to be charcuterie because our kitchen is incredibly small, and we're really excited about the things you can put on a charcuterie board that come from Somerville, Massachusetts. We have world famous cheese makers and chocolate makers and nuts and all kinds of neat things that would go on the charcuterie board. So we've also been learning like crazy about New England cheeses, but with the idea of American Fresh, it can be anything that's just fantastic, small, craft, and artisanal. There'll also be sandwiches, some cheddar and elbows that are guaranteed to make you gain a pound, and the world famous Fluffernutter, of course. That's a very important staple. And then also big hot pretzels with a whole different variety of mustards. And I'm having a load of fun right now creating and crafting these mustards that are made with all of our beers. So the spicy one is like Trek or Tripel. The super sweet and citrusy one is our Happy Soul. So when you order your pretzel, you'll get a little smorgasbord of mustards to try out.
Awesome.
That's cool.
It's a very small kitchen. It's on the second floor of our mezzanine. That was necessary to make it happen because we have a small space, 4,000 square feet. A lot of our taproom and brewery is modeled off of our favorites in Colorado, in the western part of the country, up in Washington State and in NorCal. So we spent a lot of time thinking about what we would do when it was our turn, so we're psyched.
And I'm sure it didn't bother you at all to visit those places with the intent of research, running around like, oh, let me just stop into some of the best tap rooms in the U.S. That'll be cool.
Our research won't stop. I cannot wait. My list of things I want to go eat and do and see once we're open is huge.
Yes.
There's a place up in northern New Hampshire that just opened that I'm pretty sure is actually in my Montessori preschool from when I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
Do tell.
Did you finish the recipe for the deconstructed fluffernutter you used to mention?
Oh, it's just this really, really inexpensive fluffernutter presented on a very expensive cutting board and a beautiful knife, and you can put it together with as much fluff or as much peanut butter as you prefer with your ratio.
Carla, you're all set. You're good to go now. You had your first.
Yay.
Slide in there like you're a pro. Perfect.
Well, to those who don't understand the connection, too, I believe, if Wikipedia serves, that the fluffernutter was actually invented in Somerville, Mass., or someone from Somerville, Mass. So there's a hometown pride, and they actually have, I believe, a fluff festival or something happening this weekend, believe it or not, down there, that celebrates everything marshmallow fluff.
To avoid the traffic.
Yeah, I did a little online research last night and I had no idea. So
it'd be a sticky cleanup. I mean, I know cleaning up after a beer fest it sucks to clean up, but after a fluff fest,
yeah,
a lot of
squeegees. Like licking their fingers and stuff.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the last scene in Ghostbusters.
Oh, nice.
There.
So back on a serious note, though, what does this do? What does this move to your own space, other than finally having your own space? What does that do to capacity? Are you going to be still bringing the same, or going up in size a lot? What's the difference between the?
It definitely increases our capacity. It increases our capacity in a more affordable way too. The price tag when one is not making beer in one's own facility is very expensive. But the larger issue is we can do really kooky stuff. Right now we can't do barrel aging. We can't do anything with Brett. There are limitations because when you work out of Mercury, there's a number of breweries there, and so there's an incredible amount of safety and regulation issues around how we all cooperatively get along. There's no space. The whole space, which is a beautiful large space, is full to the gilt after we've just moved in, and even to store, it was. We were very grateful that we were able to store our Yankee Swap barrels there because it was a lot of physical space, and that's just one project we want to work on. So this will give us much more space. The other thing is just having a place and a home where people can come visit you and try your full line and be a part of what your particular point of view is loads of fun. The cool thing about the space we found, we looked at a lot of spaces. One became a brewery in Somerville. One became a cidery in Somerville. We did not end up in those spaces, and I thank goodness every single day because our space comes with 53 parking spaces.
Yes.
That's rare.
Yay!
If you ever go to Somerville, you'll realize how rare that really is in Somerville.
53. And so one guy's going to take two as usual. And
That guy with like the big truck.
Yep. Oh, man.
It's all 5:30 p.m. until the next morning, so not during the day, but all weekend as well. And then the yard that it's in is a fenced perimeter, so you know what that means.
Beer garden. Yes.
So
I
what's
think you
this-
meant that you get locked in with the.
Me too. I was thinking like trapping drunk people.
Like the Sims where you pull the door out or something. Never mind.
Take the stairs away. They're stuck upstairs. We all did it.
Slumbrew cage match.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that will just
Slumbrew versus the aeronaut.
Adam versus Jeff. Grease pig match. I'm just kidding. Who can catch it first? Anyway.
Okay, and what's the seating going to be like at the new tap room? How many seats you going to have? Tables or bar? What's the area space going to be like?
There's 4 very long communal tables, and they're actually the legs are actually made out of some of our retired Yankee Swap barrels. So those long tables are also on wheels, so we can move them outside or move them around for cleaning. And then there's probably about 24 pub stools. Our physical capacity is probably going to be in the neighborhood of 100. It's not terribly dissimilar from, let's say, night shift.
What are your general hours of operation going to be? We're
struggling with when we can open for lunch service. and how, we're going to start with a modified schedule and then increase. But I'm glad you asked me about that, because my biggest pet peeve on the planet is that when you're working a 40, 50-hour week, the tap rooms aren't always open at the same hours when you're ready to go out and see the world. Especially Sundays are my biggest pet peeve. So our focus is going to be on Sundays, especially with the beer tourist travelers, and making sure that they can come in early enough in the day to get out of Boston traffic and get home. But if they wanted to come from Maine or Vermont or Rhode Island, they could and have a nice day. So I think you're going to see a lot of focus from us on Sundays, and then weird holidays. We as a family don't do well with long holiday weekends, so we're all pretty psyched about like the day after Thanksgiving and stuff like that.
Neat.
Black Friday, that's nice.
Yes.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have the best hideouts for Black Friday.
Oh man. So what? Are there any? So you did mention when you're planning on opening the first one, right?
We're praying for before Thanksgiving, but worst case scenario, we're hoping before Christmas.
Cool. And then, do you have any special launch beers that you're planning for the opening, or anything crazy besides your team doing crazy things?
One of the biggest issues is how soon, once we install the brew house next week, how soon we can finish our plumbing, because we get some beer in the tanks and possibly even beer in some of the barrels before we open. I'm not going to promise anything super spectacular yet for opening, so much as we just hope to do a good job and have great customer service and serve some of our more well-known beers at first if we have to.
Cool. And I'd like to give a nod to your team as well, because I believe it's grown a lot since we've last spoken. And usually you get people behind a booth at a beer fest. What beer do you want? Here you go. But these Slumbassadors, the people you have working for you are some of the most high energy people I've ever seen behind a booth. So glasses up to them, and I mean, you must be pumped to have such an enthusiastic team.
We're incredibly blessed. Adam Hughes came on board with us a few months ago, who is a great Slumbassador, and his wife Sarah Muse, Sarah Stewart, who is also an incredible Slumbassador, and they offer a lot of leadership. Our little Slumbassador crew is about 80 folks who have agreed to put up with a very busy Facebook group page and have offered their time and services to work paid or unpaid gigs. But also, they're passionate homebrewers, they're passionate beer experts, and now our team growing, Mark Omabono is a researcher at Genzyme. He only has 2 days a week off, and he's looking to use one of his when we open to actually manage our lab, our quality control, and our yeast program. So we've been able to pull amazing expertise from our team.
Very nice.
Excellent.
Someone has a question here. Is it Carla?
I was going to let somebody else ask it, but
It's
I'm trying not to talk all the time. A couple weeks ago, we had one where I spent most of the time talking.
Well, I'll take a quick second while someone works up the courage to ask like the $1 million question that we're talking about, and just say, if you guys are watching live, we have a couple viewers that are watching. Head over to the chat room, sblpodcast.com. There's a little chat. Big shout out to Johnny Beer, who's right now drinking a Maine beer, another one. So big shout outs to him. We also have Brandon Carter, who is drinking a CBC Cambridge Brewing Company Triple Threat. So a lot of beer talk in the chat room. So any questions, fire away. Sean's man in the chat. So who?
So Carl,
Come on, you.
Let's talk about your other location that you had planned. You announced it a few months ago, and just wondering what's going on with that.
The $1 million question that we've all been wanting to ask about.
Yes.
I've been under gag order not to talk about this or not to blog about it, and we've been trying to deal with a lot of the potential legal issues and whatnot. But here's the short version of the story. There's a lot of good news in this story. We are very excited about Assembly Row in Somerville, Mass. It's a great opportunity for our city, and it's a $1.8 billion project. And I think it actually offers a lot of value to our city compared to a casino next door.
Yes.
Earlier in the year, in May, they came to us and said, we have this vision for a cargo container restaurant. Could you make this into a beer garden restaurant? And 8 years ago, I had an attempt at a business plan for this project called American Fresh. And it was good timing. we needed to be open by June 16th, they asked, which was a little scary. And we were happy and lucky to be able to hire Maddie Perez from a restaurant group who has a lot of experience, but also experience with the Starbucks world. So we went to the walls 7 days a week preparing for this. And I won't show you my office. I spun the camera this way. My office is floor to ceiling with the materials for the cargo containers and 27,000 cups, literally. So
we just put up a blanket.
We were prepared to open in June, and there's a company, a fabricator in North Carolina that specializes in these cargo containers. Unfortunately, when the state of Massachusetts took a look at how much plumbing, electricity, and water we were using with these, they decided to qualify them as modular homes.
Oh, God.
Oh.
Now, where the wrinkle in the fabric happened, the fly in our beer, was that the modular home builder that had nearly completed building our buildings did not have the certification in Massachusetts to become a modular home builder.
Oh.
So that's what's been happening. They've been getting their certifications. And we have a couple options going on right now. So the good news, here's some good news. The good news is the very creative real estate agent that we work with that manages the property has been really welcome to thinking out of the box. One of our conditions for kind of getting this all back up on the rails was to add a heated tent. Right now we're hoping, praying, but we don't have any official information about whether we could be open for October, November, and December to catch the retail season. Mm-hmm. Every single day we say, do you have any news? And everybody's waiting for the state of Massachusetts, I guess, to deem the certification. But the cargo containers are built. And they're pretty damn cool because one of them is a restaurant, very small scale, with a kegerator room in it. It even has a hatch for us to be able to bring kegs in, so like a dog door, to expel the used kegs out because it's such a skinny little space.
Wow.
So the good news is, well, bad news is maybe if we don't get open this year, we will be open in the spring. The great news is that they have extended our lease. So,
Yay.
so we knew we were going to do this in 2014 and 2015, but now we're contracted at least through the end of 2017.
Now we're talking.
Nice.
You guys will like this because you're beer nerds. So here's a technical thing. We have been operating under a wholesaler license, which is what you do when you don't have a farmer brewer's license. And because we'll be getting a farmer brewer's license for 15 Ward Street, we suddenly don't need our wholesaler license. Now the difference is $50 versus $5,000, by the way. Right now we presented the idea to Assembly Row, and they said yes. We, to have a proper farmer brewer's license for Assembly, are looking at putting a very micro, mini, tiny, nano brewery on site.
Wow.
Cool.
You guys probably the first people to hear about that.
Wow, I was still shocked. I had to sink in for a second. That was awesome.
It's in the planning phases, so it can still go off the rails, but this is the plan.
That is cool.
That's awesome.
The podcast, the eardrums just burst. Everyone listening to this podcast. That's crazy.
You know, at that scale, it's going to be a very, teeny operation.
Still, yeah.
For demonstration purposes. We can show people how is beer made in a small scale, and if we can do any work with the homebrewers, that would be awesome.
Very cool.
For cause, and also, have a space that maybe they can collaborate with us in.
That is really, really cool.
Hopefully it's either got AC, really good AC, or some ventilation.
Well, these things open right up to the elements. They're not
open.
Yeah, I think if anything, we'd need to glycol the fermenters, Norm, to make sure that they just stay at a consistent temperature.
Yeah, good point.
Cool.
Oh, that's gonna be exciting. So I'm really sorry to hear about some of the red tape and complicated, hoops to go through. But it sounds like it's gonna be well worth it. Especially you picked two locations and two places that, as you've mentioned, they're ripe for development. They're not, overdeveloped right now. You're taking two spots and defining, a community where you want that community to be, and I think that's awesome. So just kudos to you on that, for, going through all of that, but also really picking the places that maybe they are more challenging. There probably were easier choices that you may have passed up along this line, and I just Gotta, give my hat off to that.
The scary thing about Assembly Row, or the opportunity, is that we're, at the moment, one of the only Somerville businesses going in there. And I think that you all know the Somerville culture. I mean, we're proudly hippy dippy and wild and crazy and just very creative and collaborative. And I want to bring some of that actual, culture of who we are and how we work, and our food artisans. We're doing a pop-up shop with Figs and Doves, who makes amazing jams and jellies that are local. So we're featuring a lot of the food artists, and then also some of the fine artists in one of the boxes. Boynton's interesting. I'm still learning my way around. Boynton has a culture, and it's a culture that we're going to cautiously learn as we arrive. It's a very old community that is, it's Italian, it's Spanish, and it's Portuguese. And we watched the world's most awesome festival go down our street randomly on Saturday afternoon. So there's a lot of exciting things to learn. There's this restaurant called the Hacienda. I don't know if anybody's ever heard about this.
Hacienda.
Sounds like a Spanish place, but it's Italian, right?
Sure it is.
It's a dive, and it has the world's greatest food. It's amazing.
Cool.
And I don't know, this is a quick sidebar. I was watching it on Esquire, which is kind of the new G4 or Spike TV, whatever. They had the best bars in America, and I think they went to 2 places in Slumbrew, in Somerville. So there's a lot to do in Somerville, and for those that think the Prudential Center or the Boston Common is Boston, take a train, redline it, get out of there. I'm just saying, it looked fun.
Take a train.
Somerville's really growing. You mentioned this earlier about, you looked at one space, it became a cidery, you looked at another space, it became a brewery. It's like all this stuff is all going on at one time in Somerville. Why do you think it's taking off so much?
I think it's been taking off for about, say, since 2003. We have an incredibly progressive mayor who has allowed the small businesses to flourish, has deregulated some of the old junk. It's the kind of place that, we get a bad rap for all the hipsters and whatnot, but the truth is it's young urban professionals that just don't look like some other, Ohio urban professionals. There's an incredible food culture and an incredible, creativity to the alcohol culture, but there's also a lot of pushback from the residents because it's become a very gentrified and very expensive place. We're facing a big update to Union Square. And so there's a lot of discussion. They have something called Summer Vision. There's a lot of discussion about who we are as a city and a community, and I think that there's more thought and more discussion about how we're growing. And then there's just been a huge amount of growth in the restaurant and bar industry. The old-timey Rosebud came back under the ownership of the guys from Posto and Painted Borough, and so I think there's a lot of really fun, very differentiated places to go when you come visit.
And how are those places? Are they all well? I mean, because we've seen it before from past guests, and even from Jeff when he was on, how much camaraderie there was between breweries. But do you see a lot of the same kind of friendship between restaurants and yourself, and respects to your beer? Do they appreciate that they have a Somerville brewery going on?
I think the publicans of Somerville have they have a lot of new options, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Aeronaut, Slumbrew, and Banta. And there's a lot of places that are wonderful to focus on local. But then you also, the flip side is, think about some of your higher-end beer bars who are more interested in sourcing the elite, hard-to-find beers of the world. So sometimes you don't always sell in your backyard. We do quite well in New Jersey, I have to say. I think really it's just kind of finding the beer drinkers that want to connect with how we're doing it, and we do a lot to get people involved in what we do and how we do it.
Very cool. I have kind of like a higher level question. You mentioned that you took inspiration for the tap room that you're creating from visiting a lot of different places. Like, what is your ideal tap room like? Like, what kind of attributes does it have? If people are I want to know what your kind of favorite things are about a tap room and what makes one great versus kind of meh.
Fresh air, Carla. Fresh air. I have spent some of the best hours of my life at Left Hand, and it really comes down to, even if you have bad weather, leave that one gate door up and tell people to throw your coat on, get some fresh air, experience the world out there. We work with, and I think a lot of breweries work with people who are in a hermetically sealed office for 40 hours a week. And I think part of understanding, this is grain, this is water, that's hops, it grew from the earth. You want to get that fresh air. So one of the big items that we got with this space that was so important to us is a giant roll-up door. And it is a major entrance and exit feature to the tap room. And be prepared to freeze, y'all.
Hey, we're New Englanders. We can take it.
Yeah,
Now, it's so funny. I agree with you so much there. I actually just wrote an article about what Maine still needs in beer, and one of the things I said is more places to drink outside or open to the air or looking at something beautiful, because I'm sick of being inside all the time in a dark space.
That's right.
So that's awesome. I can't wait to check it out.
Breweries also can pick up some funny smells that are not so appealing to folks who don't work in this space. Right. And I think having lots of fresh air is important for them. We're helpful to have a few seats outside of our actual space on weekends and nights, but that requires some more permitting that we've not yet begun.
So you have a couple new space, one definitely in the works, one coming in hot later. We've talked about the locations, but do you have any new beers that you guys are working on that you're willing to give us shed a little light on? Because first of all, let me mention, go to Craft Beer Cellar. I go to Merrimack Liquors to get my my Slumbrew fix, but there's still a wide variety. So you guys already have a great lineup of beers, but do you have anything adding to that repertoire?
The great thing about Jeff's 10+ years of homebrewing before all of this is that he has a very deep playbook, and after 3.5 years, he's finally figured out how to scale them up, which is a real art. Now, none of them have real great names yet, is the problem, but I would say we've got some really neat stuff in the works.
Cool.
There's one of my old favorites was an alcoholic root beer he did. The Vit that we did from my wedding, I'm hoping that we'll bring back, which is just a lovely yellow drinkable sunshine beer. Where we have in the barrels right now, Yankee Swap 2014, which is an Imperial Russian Stout that was aged in the rum barrels, same ones. We're psyched about that.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Good stuff coming. I think really figuring out what we want to do with all this barrel opportunity. So there's subterranean rooms in the space that we released. And one of the rooms we have dedicated exclusively to storaging barrels. And then there's this killer crane that we've named Niles. And Niles the crane can help us get these barrels in and out easy.
Nice one.
That we'll be able to get to be able to manage our barrels. I mean, a lot of it is real physical work when you work with barrels. Hats off to the folks who do a lot of barrel aging. People don't realize how that is just such an additional advanced level of physicality.
Amazing.
With owning your own versus contracting, will there be anything related to prices or maybe ingredient changes because you may not be using the same malts that was the group buy or the hops or things like that, where it was maybe out of the contract world you could kind of pool together?
It's sort of like that, but the real issue that we spent for the past 3 years was getting Checker, Flag Raiser, Happy Soul, and it was more Flag Raiser and Happy Soul, but Checker was not a problem and Porter was not a problem. Getting them dialed in to the point that we were really thrilled with the way they're coming out at Mercury, and that they're incredibly consistent. Happy Soul had changes during its lifetime because Jeff wanted to increase the amount of blood orange, and Flag Raiser had a really nice addition of Citra that changed last year so that the nose was better. So I think that he's happy, speaking on behalf of him while he's out drinking beer and having fun. I think he's happy with where they're at, and we'd want to continue to replicate those the way they've been made. And then the new things we'd be doing would be different.
You're still got a contract rule at Ipswich for Mercury for your bottled beers, right?
That's right. That's right. It's going to be a long time before we can afford to leave to be fully under our own steam. And I think also the great thing about this industry is we're built on our margins, our work. There's no parents that gifted us a brewery. we get frustrated like anybody, but we have to remind ourselves, well, this is what we can afford right now. And that's very frustrating, but it is the best we can do. And so that said, sure, I want a canning line. Sure, I want, a larger brewery, but we're just going to do as best we can with what we have.
Well, I think this is a great segue into what we like to do at the end of each show. I think, Brian and I were just chatting in the chat right here. We don't think this question was in existence from the first time you guys were on the show, so we want to throw it your way. It's called the Moment of Zen. Where we kind of throw it to you to give your basically advice to somebody who's interested in entering this field, or someone who's been dabbling with home brewing or starting something off, like that. So basically, any advice to somebody looking to get their project off the ground. We've had some various we've seen it on both sides of the spectrum. So please feel free to share with us.
We're tinkering around with some taglines right now. Jeff's honestly not thrilled with one that I'm really psyched about, which is make good liquids, make good friends. And those are the two things we try and do every day. And I think in the urgency and the passion to get breweries open in America, we have 2,000 breweries in planning right now. In the urgency to get your brewery open, sometimes people don't focus enough on the people who are going to be drinking beer. And I think every single day we look at how do we make a couple new friends? How do we keep the ones we have? Are we addressing their interests and their needs? And it's not about the liquids, it's about the people. And I'm seeing a lot of the new breweries coming on that they may not have fancy brands, but that's not what people are attracted to. They're attracted to whether you can allow them to participate in your experience. And that's kind of where I think that we've had so much joy and we have a lot to share.
I just put it in our little private chat, but definitely one of the top answers we've had, because obviously you took it in a people direction, which, I mean, obviously a lot of brewers are thinking the same, but well said. That's just me, but Carla, Mike, Norm, Sean, that was.
Yeah,
I think Sean's crying.
I answered it that way.
I think Sean's crying.
Yeah.
So.
I'm actually crying from it.
No, but it is
He's
true.
just crying because his beer is empty.
It's such a great answer, and it only speaks to how awesome your brewery is going to be once it expands into its own spot. It's such a cool, you're focused on the people, but your beer's still awesome. But we want to work on the people, which is awesome. Anything else? Because we've spent about 40 minutes or so, and we want to respect your time. And is there anything else in the future that's coming up? In the next couple of weeks that you want to promote for you guys before we let you get back to your evening?
I think the date's going to be September 30th, but there's going to be kind of an interesting, beautiful vista, sushi opportunity at a very good price tag at the Boston Harbor Hotel.
Oh.
To join Slumbrew, Trillium, Jack's Abbey, and Harpoon for a private reception, tasting all the beers. We'll put our dressy clothes on and clean up, and I think the price tag is going to be pretty low. And they're going to keep their beautiful hot food past hors d'oeuvres all evening. So if anybody has a date night coming up or a birthday, this is a good one to come into the city for. I believe we're going to be cracking a little bit of 2013 Yankee Swap.
Nice.
Good one. And then also, I'm really, really looking forward to, in the midst of all this work, we're cutting back on some of our events, and so we'll be at the Drink Craft Beer Fall Festival, and we'll be rolling big for that one, possibly with some surprise treats as well that I won't talk about now.
Most excellent. Any final questions from the panel, real quick, before we let Caitlin get on to it? Well, geez, we really appreciate it, and 70 episodes have gone by since we last talked to you, so let's not let that happen again. We appreciate you guys coming on, and tell Jeff, Adam, and the rest of the Slumbassadors we say hello here from the podcast, and we're going to raise a glass to you, and you have a bright future ahead of you, but even brighter beyond that. So cheers, Caitlin. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Keep doing what you're doing. It's very important for our beer world.
Thank you very much, and we'll check in with you later, and we'll send you the link once it's posted.
I want to do the first maybe it's not the first. We do a live Seacoast Beverage Lab podcast with all of you in the same room at the brewery next year.
It has never happened. So none of us have been in the same room. So
it's all my fault, but I'll make it
I
work.
don't think we've all at one time.
coming in 2015, you're going to see us in our very first all-in podcast. So yes, we're going to hold you to it. So
I'm on the stage, all of you. It'll be great.
Sweet.
Awesome. All right, we'll talk to you soon, Caitlin. Thank you very much.
Guys,
Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye, Internet.
Bye, Internet. That's the great. It's like you're kicking me off the Internet. Goodbye. So a couple of us have to leave in a couple minutes, but I wanted to get a couple things in. Momo, what is happening this weekend? Shout it out and then get the hell out of there.
I don't know, maybe 2 awesome events around New Hampshire beer, starting at 6:03 on Friday night. We're kicking it off right at. Did we officially change it back to 5, or is it?
So the thing is, I'll be there at 4, but
Okay.
I think people don't get out of work until 5 anyway. So
It's the pre-show, right? Like you're gonna be there for the pre-show starting at 4, and then I'll get my ass up there as soon as possible to kick it off. But then we are at everybody's favorite Shilling on Saturday. So
yeah, and what's good to know about both is 603 is doing a thing. If you're local, they're doing a huge promotion where if you buy a book, I'm sure they're selling it for $19.99, and if they're selling it for more, we're so sorry. But if you buy a book at the brewery, you will get a bottomless sample cup. So that's crazy. So get over to 603. Bottoms up, bottomless. And then Shilling is for their Oktoberfest, which is Saturday from noon to close. So come up to Littleton, New Hampshire. We will friggin' see you there. Mike, thanks for coming on the show. We'll let you giddy up.
anytime.
I'll see you in a couple days.
Sounds good. Good night, Beer World.
Damn. Goodbye, Internet. All right, so Mike just said my piece. We did that. A quick shout out to last week. I went to the Passport, New Hampshire Beer Fest in beer and food, whatever, in Strawberry Bank. It was good. It was rainy, but it was fine. I mean, there's some good food. My one critique, and I can say it because I didn't get a free pass to it, was there was what, 26, 27 restaurants. I think 20 of them brought a pork dish. So there was tons of pork at this festival, which I was not a huge fan of after having a couple, but luckily some guys like Moxie and Wim brought like things that weren't at all. And the salmon roll from Rerun Portsmouth, get out of town. I mean, for those that did not bring pork, excellent. For those that brought pork,
The meat house had a wide selection and variety of meats.
Yes, I had some steak there,
was quite delicious.
It was good to have something other than pork. But I mean, the beers were awesome. I mean, it was good to see a lot of New Hampshire beers that weren't there last year. You had Stark Brewing Company was there. It was good to have Martha's Exchange back in the house. Stoneface was there. So it was really cool to see some breweries.
Henniker.
Oh yeah, of course, yep, Henniker. But yeah, it was cool to just see some awesome breweries there, and we had some great ones from White Birch pouring the Farmhouse Red, the Blueberry Sour. What? Where'd that come from? That was crazy. That's all I got though. Like I said, you're gonna find me and Mike this whole weekend, just pushing our book on you. So we'll see you. Carla, what's going on? What happened last week? Anything? And then what's going on?
Oh, geez, what did I even do this weekend? Oh, I went to Funky Fest last weekend, which was put on by Funky Bow Brewing, and it was basically the York County, the Southern Maine brewers all in one place. So we had Barreled Souls, Tributary, Funky Bow, Hidden Cove. This is like a trivia question. Rocky Coast. Everybody kind of all in one place for that. They had food, music. It was a good time. Friend of mine gave me a ticket, so thank you. Shout out to Zach for giving me a ticket to that. A lot of good music, good company, and it was fun. It was kind of like a farm kind of feel. So they put up a big tent. They had like straw on the ground. It was bluegrass music and dogs running around everywhere, so it was very, it was the anti-fest. It was not a normal, kind of, oh, I'm going to be in a conference room and I'm going to go walk over carpet to get our next beer. So it was pretty cool. Southern Maine is probably the newest little burst of breweries that are happening in Maine, so I'm always happy to see a few more pop up. They're new, they're learning, they're doing good stuff, and I can't wait to see kind of how they develop a little more as they go. So.
Awesome.
2 little things coming up. This weekend is Swansea Day, which to anybody who is a super beer geek, Cantillon releases this beer once a year. They only do it in like 29, I think, places across the whole U.S. One of those places is always Avari Res. So if you're coming up to Portland for Swansea Day, send me a tweet. We'll hang out. We'll have a beer. I'm probably not going to the actual release of that, but if you all come up for that and then have a beer somewhere else or have a beer at Avari later, just give me a shout out. And I'd be happy to join you. The second is that I've been talking about this being rumored forever, but now it's actually a thing. Maine's oldest brewery, D. Alighieri Brewing Company, now has a tasting room, which is open midweek.
Whoa!
Yeah. So it opens on Wednesday, the 24th. They're doing kind of like a grand opening day thing from 4 to 7 that day. You can come by and check it out. And one of the beer buses in Portland is giving people rides back and forth from downtown out there. It's actually in that Industrial Way neighborhood where Allagash and Bissell Brothers and Austin Treaty Foundation are all hanging out, but they've been very... it's kind of like one of those people that, like, they don't have a Facebook and they're very quiet about themselves personally. That's what their brewery is. They don't really, they haven't had historically a lot of like public tours. They never really had this public-facing tasting room space. So this is very new for them, despite being a very old and significant part of Maine's history. So it's signaling something interesting about the changes that are happening in Maine right now. And I'm. It'll be interesting to get them involved, though, in the people that are coming up that are going around to all of the other Industrial Way breweries. Now they don't have to skip, one of the pioneering breweries that's going on in Maine. So it's interesting. I haven't been to the space myself. I'll have an opportunity to do that next week. But it seems interesting to me. So that's the big, like, if you're not from Maine, you probably don't care. But it's kind of huge. It would be like the reclusive neighbor down the street suddenly coming out and, knocking on every neighbor's door. It's very weird.
Then was it 20 breweries opened up last week in Maine? No, I'm kidding.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Another brewery on the way in October. There's another one called Liberty. It's going to be open on October 18th or 16th. I think it's the 18th. So they're coming in October. I made the mistake of saying something to the effect of, oh, okay, so now that Tributary's open, we won't have another for a couple of months. And nope, wrong. Always wrong. So, so yeah, we got another one opening up in October, and that's in, it's near like Camden area, Maine, but it's Liberty, Maine. It's like the tiniest town in the world, so.
Awesome. Jesus. We'll see you next week for more updates.
Yeah, without Liberty, it's 55 breweries now.
Oh, duly noted. So 20 more than New Hampshire. Sounds pretty good. Norm, what the hell's going on with you? You got any signings? What's happening? What's happening in Norm's world? Real quick. What do you got?
Well, tomorrow, which is Thursday, the 18th, so unless you're watching it tonight, you won't see this, but I'll be at the Nantasket Beach Resort doing a 45-minute talk and signing books all about beer and my Boston beer book, so that's tomorrow. Friday, I'm heading out to Worcester. There's a new brewery that should be opening in about 2 or 3 weeks called Three Cross. I'm going out there and meet the brewers, get a tour of the brewery, sample the beer, so I'm going to head out there. So it'll be the second brewery in Worcester next to Wormtown, which is also in the midst of building their new brewery, but I was talking to Ben Roche, the brewer, today. They're doing something interesting this year with Norm, the chocolate coconut stout.
Oh yeah, that little number.
Huh?
I said, oh yeah, that little beer that we've all heard about.
They're in the midst of building a new brewery and getting moving. They can't do as much beer as last year, so they're going to basically have this whole one-day Norm. Basically, they're going to have a one-day release. You come to the brewery, buy the bottles. They're hoping to have some food vendors like on site, and Peppercorns will have special coconut dishes.
Yes.
Hoping to get like other beers on tap. I'll be there signing books, and you'll be able to get
a hug with Norm.
Yes.
So,
that's awesome. Is it okay? Is it okay for
there.
Oh boy.
I'll have to keep growing my beard until at least November 1st. That's the tentative date. If you want to touch the beard, it'll be a lot longer then.
Nice.
That
means you further away from you, just like this.
No. You have to go for full. You have to put both hands in and rub.
Ugh.
But other than that, not much going on. nothing else I can think of at the top of my head. I know, Medusa Brewing Company, I got just a little update. They're hoping to be open. They're hoping to be October next month. They hope to get their first beers in the tanks on October 1st, and hopefully they're hoping to be open by the end of the month, or at least have the beers in restaurants by the end of the month, and then maybe a little later actually have the tap room open.
It's awesome. We had him on the show May 28th. It was episode number 79, so badass that they have some updates. And I knew that because I went to sblpodcast.com where all the shows are archived for you. Go there and watch them and listen to them. Sean,
Yay!
Round it out. What do you got real quick? Hit me.
I just want to mention I was I was at Passport at the same time you were last weekend.
Yep.
Looked like you had date night, so I really didn't chat with you too much.
Good man. Well played, sir.
It was raining, so it was kind of like huddle under a tent and stay there until it stops pouring equally as bad. I did go to a Trogs night in Haverhill, Massachusetts, at the grill next door. They had a couple specialty beers, including one of their beers on cask and one of their Scratch 157, which is this year's Oktoberfest beer, which was quite delicious. Coming up Friday, if anyone's going to the Highland Games, you may see me there Friday, and Saturday, if for some reason you're in Claremont, New Hampshire, I will be there at the Claremont Brew Fest. So stop in, say hello, grab a beer, and have a good time.
Ooh, I also just got, I'm sorry, breaking news. I'm not multitasking or checking my email or anything right now, but I just got an email that 21st Amendment Brewery is coming to Maine. They're going to be distributing into Maine starting next month. That is really cool.
Wow. Hear some updated news?
Sure.
They're also coming to New Hampshire.
They're also coming to New Hampshire. Oh, okay, fine.
And Vermont.
Nice.
Hey,
we're going to Vermont.
Hey, I'm excited that they're coming to Maine. So
we're going to Maine.
Yay!
I mean, there's a place in Boston called 21st Amendment, but it has nothing to do with beer. But that's awesome, Carl. Breaking news, coming in hot. Nice.
Yeah, that's really fun. Totally awesome. Sorry to interrupt there, but that's good news. I'm a big fan of them, and don't get a chance to have their beer very often. So that is really cool. Maybe we should get them on the podcast.
And so anybody who knows 21st Amendment, so
they just emailed me, so maybe I can ask.
Yeah, email right back. Email right back and say, listen, we talk about Maine half the show. Let's get in there. But yes, Sean, Claremont, the Highland Games. Anything else, real quick?
No, I think that's it. Maybe I'll see you on Friday.
For sure. Would love to. And check out twobeerguys.com. Check out Norm's blog. Obviously, it's in the show notes on sblpodcast.com. He's been doing a lot of sweet like autobiography type stories. Well worth the watch. And then Carla's just trying to keep up with it. She's doing a hell of a job with with Maine beer. So that's gonna happen for the next 10 years while we're doing this show. So, but I'll end on this quick one. Myself and beer buddy Ben Watts did a stand-up variety beer show at a place called Levin in Somersworth, New Hampshire. I put the recap up today. It's on a site called craftbeergaming.com. I'll put the link in the show notes, and I was showing off in our private chat some of the mashups we did. And basically, we just took a movie name and tried to find a New Hampshire brewery and slipped it in there. And you can check it out. I'll put it in the show notes. But we had some fun with it. Next one is October 2nd, and we have special guest Stoneface in the house. So be sure to check it out. That's all I got. So we did it, the 5 of us, and we'll see you next week. And maybe 21st Amendment if they like short notice. Cheers, guys, and we'll see you next week on the podcast.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.